Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're reading from Adi Lila, chapter 7, verse 38 onwards. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhete girim yat kripatamham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Verse 38, chapter 7 of Adi Lila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to deliver all the fallen souls. Therefore, he devised many methods to liberate them from the clutches of Maya. Purport: it is concern of the Acharya to show mercy to the fallen souls. In this connection, Desha Kala Patra, the place, the time and the object, should be taken into consideration. Since the European and American boys and girls in our Krishna consciousness movement preach together, less intelligent men criticize that they are mingling without restriction. In Europe and America, boys and girls mingle unrestrictedly and have equal rights. Therefore, it is not possible to completely separate the men from the women. However, we are thoroughly instructing both men and women how to preach, and actually they are preaching wonderfully. Boys and girls who are not married are not allowed to live together, and there are separate arrangements for boys and girls in every temple. Grihasthas live outside the temple, for in the temple we do not see the Grihasthas living together. The results of this are wonderful. Both men and women are preaching the gospel of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna with redoubled strength. In this verse, the word Sabha Nistarite Kare Chaturi Apara indicate that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to deliver one and all. Therefore, it is a principle that a preacher must strictly follow the rules and regulations laid down in the Shastras, yet at the same time devise a mean by which the preaching work to reclaim the fallen may go on with full force. Verse 39. All were converted into devotees of Lord Chaitanya, even the Mlechas and Yavanas. Only the impersonalist followers of Shankaracharya evaded him. Purport: in this verse, it is clearly indicated that although Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu converted Muslims and other Mlechas into devotees, the impersonalist followers of Shankaracharya could not be converted. After accepting the renounced order of the life, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu converted many karmanishthas who were addicted to fruitive activities. Many great logicians like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Nindaka, blasphemers like Prakashananda Saraswati, Pashandis, non-devotees like Jagai and Madhai, and Adham Paduyas, the degraded students like Mukunda and his friends. All of them gradually became devotees of the Lord. Even the Pathans, Muslims, but the worst offenders, the impersonalists, were extremely difficult to convert, for they very tactfully escaped the devices of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In describing the Kashira Mayavadis, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has explained that persons who are bewildered by empiric knowledge or direct sensual perception, and who thus consider that even this limited material world can be gauged by their material estimations, conclude that anything that one can discern by direct sense perception is but Maya or illusion. They maintain that although the absolute truth is beyond the range of sense perception, it includes no spiritual variety or enjoyment. According to the Kashira Mayavadis, the spiritual world is simply void. They do not believe in the personality of the absolute truth or his varieties of activities in the spiritual world, although they have their own arguments which are not very strong. They have no conception of the variegated activities of the absolute truth. These impersonalists, who are followers of Shankaracharya, are generally known as Kashira Mayavadis, impersonalists residing in Varanasi. Near Varanasi, there is another group of impersonalists who are known as Saranath Mayavadis. Outside the city of Varanasi is a place known as Saranath, where there is a big Buddhist stupa. Many followers of Buddhist philosophy live there, and they are known as Saranath Mayavadis. The impersonalists of Saranath differ from that of Varanasi. For the Varanasi impersonalists propagate the idea that the impersonal Brahman is truth, whereas material varieties are false. But the Saranath impersonalists do not even believe that the absolute truth or Brahman can be understood as the opposite of Maya or illusion. According to their vision, materialism is the only manifestation of the absolute truth. Factually, both the Kashira and the Saranath Mayavadis, as well as any other philosophers who have no knowledge of their spirit soul, are advocates of utter materialism. None of them have clear knowledge regarding the non-absolute or the spiritual world. Philosophers like the Saranath Mayavadis, who do not believe in the spiritual existence of the absolute truth but consider material varieties to be everything, do not believe that there are two kinds of nature, inferior material and superior spiritual, as described in the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, neither the Varanasi nor Saranath Mayavadis accept the principles of Bhagavad Gita due to the poor fund of knowledge. Since these impersonalists who do not have perfect spiritual knowledge cannot understand the principles of Bhakti Yoga, they must be classified among the non-devotees who are against the Krishna consciousness movement. We sometimes feel inconvenienced by the hindrances offered by these impersonalists, but we do not care about their so-called philosophy. So we are propagating our own philosophy as presented in Bhagavad Gita as it is and getting successful results. Theorizing as if devotional service were subject to their mental speculation, both the kinds of Mayavadi impersonalists conclude that the subject matter of Bhakti Yoga is a creation of Maya and that Krishna, devotional service and the devotee are also Maya. Therefore, as stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mayavadi, Krishna, Aparadhi, all the Mayavadis are offenders to Lord Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Lila 17.129, it is not possible for them to understand the Krishna consciousness movement, therefore we do not value their philosophical conclusions. However expert such quarrelsome impersonalists are in putting forward their so-called logic, we defeat them in every respect and go forward with our Krishna consciousness movement. Their imaginative mental speculation cannot deter the progress of the Krishna consciousness movement, which is completely spiritual and is never under the control of such Mayavadis. Verse 40, while Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing through Varanasi on his way to Vrindavan, the Mayavadi sannyasi philosophers blasphemed against him in many ways. Purport: while preaching Krishna consciousness with full vigor, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu faced many Mayavadi philosophers. Similarly, we are also facing opposing swamis, yogis, impersonalists, scientists, philosophers and other mental speculators. And by the grace of Lord Krishna, we successfully defeat all of them without difficulty. Verse 41, the blasphemer said, although sannyasi, he does not take interest in the study of Vedanta, but instead always engages in chanting and dancing like in Sankirtan. Purport: fortunately or unfortunately, we also meet such Mayavadis who criticize our method of chanting and accuse of us not being interested in study. They do not know that we have translated volumes and volumes of book into English and that the students in our temples regularly study them in the morning, afternoon and evening. We are writing and printing books and our students study them and distribute them all over the world. No Mayavadi school can present as many books as we have, nevertheless they accuse us of not being fond of study. Such accusations are completely false, but although we study, we do not study the nonsense of the Mayavadis. Mayavadi sannyasis neither chant nor dance. Their technical objection is that this method of chanting and dancing is called Yatrika, which indicates that a sannyasi should completely avoid such activities and engage his time in the study of Vedanta. Actually, such men do not understand what is meant by Vedanta. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Krishna says, Vedescha sarve aham eva vedyo, Vedanta krid vedavid eva chaham. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedas. Lord Krishna is the actual compiler of Vedanta and whatever he speaks is Vedanta philosophy. Although they are lacking the knowledge of Vedanta presented by Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental form of Srimad Bhagavatam, The Mayavadis are very proud of their study, forcing the bad effects of their presenting Vedanta philosophy in perverted way. Srila Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam as a commentary of the Vedanta Sutra. Srimad Bhagavatam is Bhashyo Yam Brahma Sutranam. In other words, all the Vedanta philosophy in the aphorisms of the Brahma Sutra is thoroughly described in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus, the factual propounder of Vedanta philosophy is Krishna conscious person who always engages in reading and understanding the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and teaching the purport of these books to the entire world. The Mayavadi are very proud of having monopolized the Vedanta philosophy, but actually they have own commentaries on Vedanta, such as Srimad Bhagavatam and other written by Acharyas. The Mayavadi accusation that devotees do not study Vedanta is false. The Mayavadis do not know that chanting, dancing, and preaching the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam, called Bhagavad Dharma, are the same as studying Vedanta, since they think that reading Vedanta philosophy is the only function of a sannyasi, and they did not find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in such direct study. They criticize the Lord Sripad Shankaracharya has given special stress to the study of Vedanta philosophy. Vedanta Vakyeshu Sada Ramantaha Kopinavantaha Khalu Bhagyavantaha. A sannyasi accepting the renounced order is very strictly and wearing nothing but more than a loincloth should always enjoy the philosophical statements in the Vedanta Sutra. Such a person in the renounced order is to be considered very fortunate. The Mayavadis in Varanasi blasphemed Lord Chaitanya because his behavior did not follow these principles. Lord Chaitanya, however, bestowed his mercy upon these Mayavadi sannyasis and delivered them by means of his Vedanta discourses with Prakashananda Saraswati and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. So we'll continue our reading from here onwards next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.